Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show how to install Nvidia Modulus on Google Colab. As I explained in a previous video, Nvidia Modulus is a neural network framework that blends the power of physics and artificial intelligence to solve partial differential equations. As I also explained in a subsequent video, Nvidia Modulus takes advantage of graphical processing units, also known as GPUs. GPUs process tasks in parallel. This is in stark contrast with CPUs, which process tasks in series. This is because of the highly parallel nature of neural networks, because the results of the computations in one node in a neural network do not depend on the results of the computations in other nodes. It is possible to parallelize the computations within a neural network, and therefore GPUs are well suited for the Nvidia Modulus library. In fact, they are necessary. Lastly, Google Colab is a hosted Jupyter Notebook service that requires no setup to use, while providing access free of charge to computing resources, including GPUs. One disclaimer before we get started with the installation process. Google Colab, because it is free, provides access to GPUs that are not as capable as, for example, the Volta GPUs. Nvidia Modulus library, this is the documentation that you can see. This library, the user guide recommends using V100. We are going to be using the T4 data center GPU, which is the one that is usually provided with Google Colab. So let's get right into it. I'm going to let you see the URL. Here, this is the installation guide in the official documentation of Nvidia Modulus. And as you can see, they recommend using Docker. This is the recommended approach. Because Google Colab doesn't have Docker, we're going to be using the bare metal installation. Again, because this is for learning purposes, we just want to get it running, even if it's not with the fastest GPUs. So, okay, first things first. How do you go about connecting a GPU on Google Colab? Well, you click on runtime, then change runtime type. In this case, I already have it set up, but usually you are not going to have any hardware accelerator running. So you here select GPU and click save. And usually when you hover here, you're going to see that we're connected right now to Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend GPU. If you want to verify, I recommend that you do this. And you're going to see which GPU you are connected to. In this case, we have Tesla T4. And some people on YouTube are going to tell you that you can disconnect and delete the runtime and then reconnect again. That's a possibility. In fact, let's try to do it right now. We can reconnect. First, we delete the runtime, disconnect and delete the runtime, then we try to reconnect. And if we're lucky, we may get a better GPU. However, I haven't been lucky lately. I've only been getting T4s. Usually some people say that you can get a P100, I believe, which is better. And in the past, people used to say that it was possible to get V100s, but that's rare right now. So you should expect to get a T4, but for learning purposes, that should be fine. We only care about sort of like getting a close look at the library. In this case, just verifying that we can install it in Google Colab. So, okay, the very first step now after the relatively long introduction is to copy and paste the main Python libraries that are required by Nvidia Modulus. Again, the bare metal installation. We're not using Docker. Google Colab doesn't have access to Docker, at least not easily. But this should be fine. So we're going to have bare metal installation. So let's do that. Okay, so now we install the required libraries. It says that we must restart the runtime in order to use new install versions. I guess it's best practice. So far, it hasn't been an issue for me, so I'm not going to restart the runtime. There's an issue with the library Hydra-Core. You need to also run this specific library, but I'm going to do it later so that you can see what happens if you don't do it as of the time I'm recording this video. At least the version right now of Nvidia Modulus is 22.07. Then the next step is to clone the Nvidia Modulus repository. The Nvidia Modulus repository right now is private, so you need to get access to it first. And so you click here, like this is the link, for example, like Modulus GitLab repository access. In this case, I already have access, so it's not asking me for anything. But as you can see here in my previous submissions, it asked me for it only asks you for one thing, which is like your GitLab handle. So you need to have a GitLab account. Once you fill out this form, you're going to get an email providing you access to the Modulus GitLab repository, which is this one. Probably shouldn't show a lot of this because it's supposed to be private, but this is all you need. Access to this GitLab repository. Then you're going to be able to clone the GitLab, the Nvidia Modulus repository on GitLab. However, because it's not a public repository, unless you have configured your account parameters and that stuff, this is not going to work. In fact, let's try. Why not? Just to show that. So, like for example, if you try this bit, that is not going to work because you need to have you need to modify you need to provide your access token and your username. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Essentially, this is what you need. So to get your access token on GitLab, you go to Edit Profile, Access Tokens, and you get an access token. Like for example, you will get like read repository only for that, and Modulus tutorial, and create personal access token. Then you copy and paste it. This is a previous access token that I have. Obviously, delete, do not show this to anyone. Like I'm showing it right now, but I'm going to delete it, so I really don't care. If I forgot to delete it, that would be a problem, but I don't have repositories on GitLab anyways. But obviously, you're not supposed to show this to anyone. That is why it disappears, right? Like eventually, you're only able to see it once. So you have your access token here. your username of GitLab. Again, I'm going to delete this later because it's bad practice to show it on a YouTube tutorial, but I don't care because I'm going to delete it again. And then you have the address of the Nvidia Modulus repository, and then you should be able to clone it, right? This is how you clone the Nvidia Modulus repository. Right now, the Nvidia Modulus library is not available, like with a pip command. It's not available in the Python libraries repository, the official one. So we are sort of like installing the development version because that's all there is. The production version is what they have in the repository because they haven't released it in the official Python organization. What's the name again? Pip. There is yeah, the py.org. Like Nvidia Modulus is not here. There's a Modulus library, but that has nothing to do with Nvidia Modulus. It's like a completely different thing. So do not install it with pip. It won't work because it's not the same thing. So just so you know. Now with the repository here and the clarification out of the way, we can proceed. The next step in the installation process is to actually go ahead and install the Nvidia Modulus library. So ignore this a little bit. We already have the Nvidia Modulus library. So this is how you like go into a folder on Colab. You need like this percentage sign and then CD, and that's how you go into the folder. For some reason, this doesn't work well. Like when I installed the library this way, it didn't work. So I presume Colab installs the library in the wrong place. So I recommend you do it this way. You CD first into the folder, and then you do the Python setup.py install. I really thought that it should have worked this way. It didn't work when I did it this way. So if someone can figure out why this command didn't work in the comments, feel free to comment. But in my experience, better if you actually CD first and then install it. So we're going to go ahead. That's it. It installed very quickly Nvidia Modulus, the current version 22.7. And just one note, please make sure you keep sort of like track of where you are, because for example, right now we are like we are like here within the Modulus folder. For example, like accompanying licenses, this is the first folder here. So in order to execute the next command, well, eventually we need to go back because we need to execute a command in a different folder, like this one, or at least I'm going to do it in a different folder. So I'm going to go back and let's just to show you Modulus and sample data, which is like the original folder I was in. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this because it's just sort of like I'm navigating the directories. Now the next step is to clone the examples folders. Now there's a mistake I think they made. For example, like this is the wrong address, Nvidia external examples.git. I hope they fix that soon, because if you see here, this repository is Nvidia Modulus examples, like Nvidia/Modulus/examples. But in the installation guide, they have like Nvidia/external/examples, which seems to be a mistake. It didn't work when I did it that way. So same idea, you need an access token. I think this is the previous access token I have. I'm going to delete all my access tokens because obviously I'm not supposed to be showing this on a video, but it's okay. I'm going to delete it. But so you use the right repository address, nvidia/modulus/examples, and you clone it into your directory. We refresh this, and you can see here we have the examples. All right. So don't want this. Okay. So next step is to make sure that before we run the sample, you need to have Git large file storage, Git LFS, installed, because otherwise it's not going to work. But I'm not going to install it right now, so just that I show you the output if you don't do it. But you would do it with this command. If you want to learn more about Git LFS, just check out there's like their content, their documentation. You only need like one command to install it, pretty much. But I'm going to not do that right now because I want to show you what happens if you don't do it. It's always useful because that was one of the issues that I went through. But all right, so to verify the installation, use cd into the examples folder. Helmholtz specifically, that's the one they recommend to verify the installation. And you run helmholtz.py, and you gotta see like an outputs folder, and that's how you're going to see that you installed the library correctly. It's supposed to take 5 minutes, but with the GPU that we're using, at least the first time that I tried, it took 47 minutes, but it worked out just fine. I really think that for learning purposes, this is relatively okay because it's free. I think it wouldn't be worth it to spend like 1 hour learning how to install this thing and paying a few dollars. Or at least it's nice if you can learn how to install it while also and play a little with the library, just for free. So that's the purpose of this video, to show you how you can do it for free, even if it takes longer because the GPUs on Colab are not as efficient as the ones that you would usually pay for, like the V100, which is the one they recommend. In fact, we're using T4 again. Okay, so I'm going to show you what happens if we run it right now. It's not going to work because we didn't follow a few key steps on purpose. So right now, it says that run Hydra is missing one argument, one required positional argument .args. This is a problem with the library that I ran into, and the fix is to make sure that you run this version, which seems to be the one they have in their Docker file. I learned this on their forums, so if I can teach you something, is to check out their forums. Yeah, pretty much this. It's this question. Someone already had this error when running Modulus. They were trying to do the bare metal installation, I suppose, and they ran into this issue. And someone realized that this is due to an incompatible Hydra version. Downgrade the Hydra version, and you're going to fix this error. The Docker image uses version 1.1.1, so this is how I fix it. So thank you to this guy. Thank you, really, because that fixed the issue for me. All right. Okay. So we're going to try again, and it's not going to work again because we are having installed Git large file storage. But I want to show you what happens if you forget to do that. So if you run into that error. Oh, shoot. Uh, you see, I made a mistake. Obviously, you don't want to see it twice. How do I? Yeah. So you don't want to see it twice because we already we're on the directory already. Examples directory, this directory in particular. So we just run the script. It's not going to work because it's missing large file storage, but it doesn't tell you exactly. Like it tells you that it couldn't convert a string to float, this weird thing. And I kind of complain about that in the forums, and I need to provide an answer because, you know, someone had the same problem previously. Um, like, like here, someone sort of like had the same issue. You know, it doesn't convert the string to float, whatever. And someone sort of like referred the person to this other thread in which someone had the same error. So really check out the forums because they're very useful. A lot of common errors are here, really. You just need to go over like all the questions until, you know, with people who had like a problem installing the library, and you're going to probably find a solution to your issues, your common issues. So yeah, this person explains that you need Git large file storage, you know, to run like the sample scripts. So let's do that. Okay, Git large file storage. Perfect. Now we run the sample. And let's see, right now it's 11, close to 11 p.m. for me. So, oh, that's interesting. It seems, okay. It's giving me the same error. I suppose I need to restart the runtime. Maybe that's going to help. Maybe you need to have Git large file storage installed before you installed the Nvidia Modulus library. So let's see. Ideally, you should restart the runtime, but I'm curious what happens if I actually just. So again, we are like in the samples repository. So I'm going to go back once. No, I was in the Helmholtz directory, so I'm going to go back twice. Then I can try to install the Nvidia Modulus library again. I'm going to try that out just to see if it works. If that doesn't work, I'm going to restart the runtime and make sure that I install Git large file storage soon, like in the first steps before I install the library. But let's see. I think that should work. Oh, I need to go back once. I try to run it. Oh, why is it not working? Oh, yeah. I need to do CD. Like I did CD of the previous folder. No. I need to CD into the previous folder. And then if I do ls to show where I am, I'm going to be in the right place. And then I go into the samples directory and run the script. Okay, it didn't work that way, so let's do it the right way. Okay, sorry about this. I'm going to restart the runtime. Restart runtime. Then I'm going to install these libraries. I think it doesn't reinstall them, but exactly. It says requirement already satisfied. But I'm pretty sure that if I make sure that before I clone the repositories, that's the problem. Oh, that's obvious, right? Before you clone the repositories, yeah. So I'm going to delete the whole thing because really you need to have like the right command. Which command is it again? Git LFS install. Right. I guess it's useful to see, to look at, to see someone running into these issues because someone else might run into the same issues. So make sure that you have Git large file storage installed before you clone any of the repositories. I'm sure that's the issue. So I'm going to disconnect and delete the runtime because that way you get rid of everything that you have in your directory. So we're going to reconnect. It's going to connect to like a GPU backend because that's how we have configured it in our settings. Remember at the beginning of the video, we had the GPU backend. So now I'm going to have to install again this. By the way, I'm pretty sure that we connected again to a Tesla T4, but we can verify that after this finishes installing. I mean, if we're very lucky, we might have gotten a P100, but I haven't gotten one as I've been playing with this. It's a lot of libraries in the bare metal installation. Okay, so just to show you, I'm sure we got a T4. Yeah, that's what we always seem to get. If you're lucky, you might get a P100, which is better. So again, we downgrade the library of Hydra-Core, and we make sure that we install Git large file storage before we clone any repository. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it says this warning because we don't have a Git repository initialized, but that's okay. Git LFS initialized. That's all we need to know. So we clone the Nvidia Modulus repository, and we install it. And again, I prefer to go one folder back before I actually clone the samples folder. I prefer to have it outside. This video is going to be a little longer than I expected. It's one of my first video tutorials, so bear with me. We're in this together. I really think it's worthwhile to see the issues that someone else might run into. So yeah. All right. So now it should work. Let's see. It's going to sort of like print a lot of checkpoints that allow you to see how the simulation is running. You see, attempting to restore from output Helmholtz optimizer. It says optimizer checkpoint not found at the beginning, but ignore that. It is working. You know, it's like doing all the steps, and eventually it's going to sort of like show the checkpoints. Step 100. This is the loss of the loss. You know, I talked about the loss function in a previous video. So, you know, it gives you like the step, the current step, and it sort of like gives you the current loss. It's optimizing the loss function. You want this number to be as low as possible. So this is going to take a while. Again, it took like 47 minutes the first time I tried, so I'm going to pause the video, obviously. But I do want to show you sort of like, so not here, in examples, in Helmholtz, we can see the outputs folder, which is what we're creating right now, to put it that way, you know. It has a lot of files. I'm not going to go into the details of what it produces. I just want to show you that this is how you would verify that the installation is working. And here's the script, which you can take a look at it. But this is bread and butter for another day, for another tutorial. But again, I'm going to post the video, and then we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to show you sort of like how the whole output looks. But that's the idea. That's how you will install Nvidia Modulus with, you know, the bare metal installation on Google Colab for free, which I think is pretty okay for learning purposes. Okay, so I'll see you in a moment. All right, guys, the simulation finally finished. So as you can see, it kind of like took 47 minutes again. It started almost like around 10 minutes, pretty much around 10 minutes. And then it went through, you know, like trying to optimize the loss function. And then it finished around 57, which is like 47 because it started around 10 minutes. Almost 58 minutes, 48 minutes in fact. And the loss functions are like produced this loss. This is what it minimized, the minimized loss around this value, and it finished training. So I'm not going to go into the details of visualization or anything like that in this video. I'm just showing you what you should expect to know that you installed the library correctly. Again, there's an output folder that you should be able to see with the outputs of the simulation. And I'm going to link in the description a Jupyter Notebook with boilerplate commands, pretty much the stuff I used here that you can use, you know, to install it yourself and just run the notebook pretty much, and perhaps like add a few details like the access tokens and stuff like that. There are some steps that you need to perform, obviously, to adapt it to in order for it to work. But it's going to save you time, I think. So I'm going to link a Jupyter Notebook that you can use, similar to this one. So cheers. Thank you for watching. Bye.